Let's move into number 6, personal development. So one of my favorite quotes is to quit being goal-focused and start being growth-focused. And I think one of the things that I really value about you, Yelisey, is that, like me, that you continue to grow in your skills. Practically you do in pursuing new designations, but also you're a reader. You're always watching YouTube videos. You're learning, you're improving. And I think that when you are that person, when you're somebody that just loves growth, personal development, reading, becoming, I think, at least for me, I assumed everybody was that way. And there's a statistic that in the United States, only 2% of people have read a book after high school.
Oh, wow.
And another one, I don't know why it's related, but the other one, and maybe this is why, but it was something like only 2% of Americans have a library card. I don't know if that's still true today, but I know a few years ago it was. And so one of the things that you and I have done is we've continued to develop, we've continued to grow. And one of the ways that we've done that is we've invested in having great coaching. So almost 3 years ago, you and I started a coaching program out of Dallas, Texas. And I'll never forget, when we started and we heard the cost of being a part of this group of entrepreneurs, I remember thinking, man, that's the same amount as my mortgage. Like, it was significant for us to be in the room, not including flying there, getting a hotel room, paying for food. But we invested in our personal development, hoping that it would increase our skills so that we could increase our revenue in our business and become better at what we do. But when you think about personal development, one of the things that Keith Kraft, our business coach, says, it is the rooms that you get yourself in today are the rooms that'll decide, or the rooms that you get yourself in today is what's going to decide what rooms you're in tomorrow. And so when I look at that, I know some people, they think personal development is hoorah and a little, I don't know what the term would be, but a little bit hokey. But one of the things that I've found, and you've pointed this out, even though we can't point to and say, hey, spending X amount of dollars on personal coaching has brought in X amount of dollars in our business, we both agree that developing ourselves and getting better has helped us grow a better business. Share kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I actually look at the amount we spend every month and I have to intentionally block that out of my mind. Because, you know why? I do much better when there's a direct relationship where you can actually just point to it and say, hey, this is how much we're spending. And then, whether it's marketing or something else. And look, our revenue happens to have increased by, a certain percentage. And I know that there are no direct relationships like that. It's really difficult to say, hey, to what extent has our business revenue gone up because of this one decision that we've made? But one thing that I do know is it's helping us to think in a different way. How we think about our business, how we think about our relationship with our employees and what we're doing. And I think it's even though it's an indirect relationship, I think that it's really just improved so much in how we conduct ourselves, who we are, inside the business, outside the business, with our families, with our staff. And I think all of that stuff, even though it's difficult to measure sometimes, I think that it's invaluable, and I'm 100% for it. And I think that whether you're adding new skills or whether you're just expanding your relationships and talking to different people that are in your industry, outside of your industry, other entrepreneurs, people that are kind of on the same path that you are. Sometimes it's a very lonely path to be an entrepreneur. And I think that getting around people who are doing this, right, who are in business, who've started a business, who've had some of the same struggles that you might have, I think that that's really, really valuable.
Yeah, well, I think too, in the ways that we're opposite, they strengthen each other. But for me, there's been a lot of seasons where I'll say to you, hey, I feel like this is significantly impacting our business. And I go by feeling. Like I think a lot of people that are in sales or CEO roles are very feeling led, where in a positive way, you're like, show me on a spreadsheet. And I think those balance each other, because in a business, it's important to have checks and balances. One of the things I've noticed watching friends who are entrepreneurs, those that are more like me, that don't have an implementer or operations person like you, will overspend, or they'll not have stick-to-itiveness in things that we're trying, where somebody, an organization that's led by somebody like you versus a salesperson might not have as much sales and therefore have a slower growth. So I appreciate that we balance each other, and I think we do a good job of hearing each other as we have differences in how we do things. That's been a strength. But one of the things I would say is, if you're looking at a mastermind, so what is a mastermind? Really, it's a group of people. Think of a master of the minds, where instead of having to learn everything on your own, you may be going through a challenge in your business or maybe personal in your marriage or with your kids, and you can share that in a room of people that you know, like, and trust. And instead of spending years trying to find the answer, somebody else in that room has already solved the problem that you're trying to solve. So I would encourage anybody that, man, you either need a business coach or you need a mastermind. And if you don't have somebody or know somebody, feel free to reach out to Yelisey or I. We have several contacts. But one of the things I'd encourage people to do is invest in yourself. And I'll kind of end with this. One of the questions I get a lot is, what percentage of my income should I invest in personal development? And the first thing I tell people is, one is just get started. But I think a good rule of thumb is, having, depending on your income, obviously the higher your income, the percentages may not stay the same. But a good rule of thumb is if you can invest 3 to 5% of your income on personal development. One of the things that Alex Hormozi, who's one of the top entrepreneurs today, Yelisey, when I first heard him say this, I was like, that's stupid. But he said, everybody talks about investing in the S&P 500, but what I tell people is to invest in the S&Me 500. And I was like, man, that is cheesy. But we just had to say is, make sure you're investing in yourself. Get in a room of people that have built the kind of business that you want. And one of the things I like about our room is 2 things that we've done. We've focused on getting in a room of entrepreneurs that have different industries, because we've learned a lot from them. But then also we have mentors in our industry that are 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead that have built great firms and that think the way that we do and that we just know, like, and trust, that have helped us as well.